there are few concepts in life that are more important for you to understand than reciprocity, especially when you're trying to build a life and design a life that has consistent wins. It really helps understand where you are as far as what you are showing your reciprocity muscle or whatever you want to call it towards. We'll be talking more about that and more in today's Dallin Quick Thoughts episode. See you after the intro. So reciprocity is a very powerful concept, and it basically is the give and take at the very, very smallest micro part of it. It's that, okay, you gave me $5 or you made me this sandwich. You're showing that you have interest in my development, and I feel obligated from psychological tricks and whatnot to reciprocate and participate in this cycle of reciprocity. So one of the ways that I saw this most was in college when people would be like, hey, you're really good at talking to people, you should do sales. And I was like, hey, I've already done sales. Like, well, I'll take you out to lunch. And I'm like, okay. So now this person has made an investment in me, and the idea is that I will make an investment in them. One of my best friends, Cody, I have talked about him a couple times on the podcast, and he's going to be featured in the Yield Weekly newsletter this week, so definitely check that out, link in the show notes. He's a great example of reciprocity for me. He gave me a scooter in college. He reached out. He gave me his old accounting textbook, and then I failed the class, but he still encouraged me and didn't say, oh, you fool. He said, hey, try again. And even now that I don't have a job and things have been a little bit rough sometimes, he has been reaching out. And so very recently, Cody wanted to go see his family, and he's like, hey, I need somebody to drive me to the airport early in the morning. And he's like, can you do it? And I was like, I guess, sure. And then he's like, yeah, I'll pay you this much money. And then he's like, wait, actually, I'll pay you more money because I need you to be here even earlier. And I know that's hard, but I'll pay you even more money. And now I'm like, okay, wow. I didn't really expect any money from this. I'm doing okay. It's okay. It's all good. But Cody wanted to show that for me because he knows I'm in kind of a tight spot in some ways. And so I really appreciate that. And so when I woke up at 5:30 to go and pick him up this week, I had the thought, wait, I have granola bars. There's some oranges my roommate said I could have. Dude, I can make a nice little package for Cody. And the mindset and the thought process, I think, for this came from my past roommate, Moose, who does a bunch of Facebook, lifting people around, Rexburg and Idaho Falls and stuff. He'll take them to the airport and makes decent money from it, but he has a bag of snacks and he has some other stuff so people feel comfortable. And so it comes off as I know what I'm doing, and it's very likely when you pull that off that people are going to listen to you again. If you're a longtime listener of the podcast, it probably means that in some way, something I said or something that a guest said or my energy or something clicked with you, and you wanted that something again, and you're interested in improvement. You're interested in some of these concepts and topics I talk about, but at the very heart of it, you have invested in me, and I desire to invest back in you. And so one way is to do these episodes, get people on, do a newsletter. There's other things. And I really do believe it's going to lead to something wonderful because it already has led to wonderful things. Some of the people that I've met over interviews, it's just there's been like a quick clicking, and then there's the reciprocation, right? It's like I appear on their podcast, I reach out to them on their podcast, and there's this back and forth, and it's cool. Like they gave me their book, and it's like it's not even forced either. It's just I want to genuinely do this. I think this goes along with Deep's thoughts on compassion as well. That episode from last week or so, and it has 10 downloads. I'm thankful for every single one. I really am. But it goes along with that. I've had it happen many times where somebody I reach out to, they reach out to me later when I'm having a rough day and like, hey, what can I do to help you out? Because I was there in that moment where I was shining, and I did not hide my shine, even if it wasn't that shiny. I still tried to reach out to them, right? This is something you see in products. You see this all over the place. I would challenge you, if you want a real like shift, like a mindset paradigm shift, start looking for this. Start looking for this when it's like with YouTube videos or with anything else, because once you have given something, it's very likely you will give that same thing again. I was recently watching this video game live stream that I sort of autopiloted myself onto, and I was not really wanting to watch it. And I also was inspired by the content, and I was like, I know there's something better I could be doing with my time, but for whatever reason, I'm just watching this, and I'm just enjoying it, watching from the sidelines. And I had the thought, I could comment and say, hey, great stream, because I mean, it was a great stream, but again, I don't identify as a gaming content creator anymore. And so like, I had the thought, if you say hi or whatever, he will shout you out, and he will say, hey, thank you so much for coming on, blah, 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 subscribe. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if I had clicked subscribe, or even if I'd done that tiny little comment thing, it would have started the reciprocity cycle. And as far as what that guy can do for me, I have nothing but respect for him. But there isn't really much he can do for me. You know, I love the podcast, and there has been such a sifting happening in my brain as far as who I want on the podcast. And it's changed. You know, there's people, and I was like, oh, dynamite. If this person said, I want to come on, boom. But you know what? I've really started seeing that there's people that I want to get on, and they're like the priority. And some of these people that, you know, no offense, that maybe I don't recognize or whatever, they're just not a priority anymore. So like, I just think of it and I just imagine it. I'm there and I'm like, am I curious in talking to this person? You know, something that Danny Miranda talks about. He says like, is this something that I'm curious learning about? And that's why Danny has such a diverse, you know, role of guests. And I can link Danny's content again. I'm going to have him on the podcast in 2023. I'm excited for it because he's amazing, has such a good flow and everything. But this is something that he does on his show. You know, am I interested in talking to this person right now? And with that identity from before, of course I was interested in talking to this person. But with the one that I've been adopting super hard lately, the last couple months of 2022, you know, I'm not really interested. But then there's people like Thomas Frank, Danny Miranda, Alex Sanfilippo that I've already had on the show or would love to have on the show again, and I just really enjoy talking to them. And the reciprocity cycle is so strong. You know, I've read Thomas's book. I'm in Alex's, you know, Podmatch and Podcast SOP. I subscribed to Danny Miranda's Substack for a little bit. So like, there's that. So be careful what you invest in. I made a YouTube video about this forever ago, and it got like 2 views, and who cares, right? Because I feel like it was fire anyway. But it just said that one leads to many. And it's true. It's 100% true. Because once your brain has associated something as, hey, I can get this result, this useful thing with this thing, it's going to create a clearer, closer path to it, a more tight path. You know, I've been running a lot more consistently, and so my brain has been shortening that feedback loop. So it happens a lot quicker. It's like sometimes I'll hear a certain song that I've heard while running, and like literally the desire to run happens. It's like it's there. I feel it, you know? So it's fascinating. Life is fascinating. Life is very much influenced by reciprocity. What you show is worth your time. The algorithm is perfect at this. I talked about this a long time ago in about the Thoughts of Life or Thought Food episode. That was a year ago. Kind of crazy. It's still one of my favorite episodes, just a solo one. But when you show that you value something, the algorithm is going to give you more of that. It's going to give you that and also other things along that same topic. So be careful. It's crazy, but what you search on Google and find for searching the same thing is going to be different what other people find. So you can tune this to your advantage. Whatever you want to show up in your feed, you have a lot of control over that. And the same thing goes into your feed of life as well. Obviously, there's things we don't have control over. But consider reciprocity. What are you showing attention to? And this goes perfectly with the last episode about what parts of yourself are the most important and prioritizing those. Because lately, I have been like, okay, I'm going to be the small wins guy, or I'm going to design life around this and something a little more tangible, jumping on calls with, people that have been on the podcast or people that I want on the podcast or whatever. And I'm getting more clarity. I'm like, okay, we're dialing down and we're not giving other time to these other things, because I want to show God, I want to show the world that I am focused and that I have a very good idea of what I want. Because when you have a very good idea of what you want, then it's going to be a lot easier for that to happen. You go to a restaurant, right? My roommate, McKay, I love him. He took me and my roommate Spencer out to this really nice Italian place, and it was a lot of money, right? And it was awesome. But it does make me think, it does make me want to be a better roommate. Even though I know it's a temporary thing, it's like I want to show that. And, you just don't really know how long things are going to last. So it just helps to be a kind person. But, yeah, I don't know. Going that extra mile really does make a difference. There's no traffic jams along the extra mile. I think there was something else I was going to say, but we kind of fell off the train. Our legs were like spread in between two trains, and it was like, we can't be on both, and one of them just like, just disappeared and left me behind. So those are my thoughts on reciprocity. Super mind-blowing. I think there's such a deeper concept or conversation we could have about just reciprocating for yourself and reaching out to yourself more. And if you want me to talk about that, let me know. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to start this conversation, or just open the loop just to get you thinking about it. Because it really is like super mind blowing. Because whenever you show this last example, if you show a bunch of anger towards somebody about some topic, they will note that, right? Just like the algorithm notes that, just like everything. So just be careful. And there's a lot of beauty in just reciprocating in a good way. And if you don't reciprocate, you're basically telling that person that I'm not really interested in this thing. And that's fine. Sometimes people will reach out to me and I'll send them like a quicker answer because I don't really have this person in my purview as much, and that's okay. But things can change, of course. And yeah, you see this with all kinds of different things. When people are mirroring some of the same things, or hand gestures or whatever, or somebody's sitting the same way as you, like that's mirroring, that's reciprocating in a small way. That's a big deal. So give back to people who've given to you. I think of my parents who's given me so much, and I want to give back to them and show them that with my parenting style. When I grow up, I want them to see all the good things they've done and stuff with that when they, when they have grandkids and whatever, so it's a deeper level of reciprocity. We kind of went all over the place, and yeah, so those are my thoughts though. Check out the links in the show notes, and I will see you next time. It's a very, very, very powerful concept to understand. So thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to heal today, and it'll be a better tomorrow.